Hi, I'm Randy Hollenbeck, and this is the Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we have Scott from hard rock band A Light Divided.
How's it going?
I want to go into some of your background, some of your history. I know you play bass and guitar, and I just wanted to figure out what age you started into that and what got you into music.
Yeah, man. Let's see. I think I was probably like 13 when I first decided I wanted to be in a band and started singing for like local bands in high school and middle school, and very quickly realized I wasn't the world's best singer, so I needed to figure something else out. So I started learning guitar. I think it was like my earliest influences and what got me into music was Nirvana and I got really into like the 90s Seattle grunge stuff when I was a kid. That was like my biggest influence and earliest influence, I should say. That's what really inspired me. I, wanted to be just like Kurt Cobain at one point. And then it just kind of grew from there. It took off, and I got inspired by other artists and other bands, and I just kept playing and been in a ton of different bands ever since. Really, I mean, yeah, that's just been jumping from one band to the other for most of my life, really.
Were you in A Light Divided after they formed or before?
Yeah, no, I'm the newest member actually. I've been in it since 2019. So I'm the most what's the word, rookie member, for lack of a better word. They've Adam and Jace are the two founding members. Jace, our singer, and Adam, our drummer. They're the two founding members, and Doug's been in it the second longest, and then I'm the newbie, relatively.
Did you play on their last album? What is it called? Choose Your Own Adventure.
They released Choose Your Own Adventure in 2018, and then I joined on the tour for Choose Your Own Adventure. On that tour, I joined as a fill-in because they needed a fill-in member, and then that fill-in position ended up becoming a permanent position right after that. So I've been with them ever since, and I played on the new record, including Radio Silence, which we recently dropped. We did finish recording our new album. We do not have a release date yet, but uh, I played on that, so that all the next stuff will be with me. But yeah, Choose Your Own Adventure was released right before I joined the band.
Was there like somebody you replaced, or did they add just a second guitar player?
There was, yeah. So I originally replaced Mike on bass, Mike Underwood on bass, and that's how I ended up on bass. But then it was just one of those things where every single tour I was either doing guitar or bass, just based on the needs and availability of people for tour. So it's kind of been the case since, where it's whether it's on the record playing guitar and bass or live, it kind of seems to change with the needs. You know what I mean? With the last tour we did, which was it was a very small run that we did up the East Coast just last month. I did guitar on that, and we had our good friend from another band fill in on bass for it. So it does just kind of seem to vary with every single tour. That's why I'm guitar slash bass. I don't know, whatever you need, you know.
What state is your band based out of?
Technically, we are based out of North Carolina. So when we do anything, prior to tour, like we all meet in North Carolina and we do rehearsals in North Carolina before leaving for tour, before doing anything. So we are based out of North Carolina, but we're spread out. I live in Florida. I'm a Tampa, Florida guy. My singer lives in Nashville, and then the other two guys they're in North Carolina. Though one's in Charlotte and one's in Winston Salem. So um, we all meet up there before tour or anything like that.
So with this new record you guys just recorded, how did you record it? Did you like send files back and forth being you're from different states?
Yeah. So typically, what happens is I do a lot of home recording and a lot of writing at home. So I do a lot of pre-production here in my house, and I just write song ideas, send them to the band. Jace will, get a idea of melodies and stuff like that to go into the studio. But 9 times out of 10, it seems when we record in Nashville usually. So when we get into the studio in Nashville, all those ideas seem to go right out the window. Our producer's like, nope, these all suck. He's like, oh, this is good, but this sucks. It's like we're starting fresh. So it seems to be the case that we just we show up with all these ideas and all these songs, and then they're all just like, well, we're gonna rework all of it. You know what I mean? And rewrite all of it. So, um, so yeah, we write most of our stuff in the studio, like when we all meet there for recording, so that's kind of seems to be the case where we're always writing, you know what I mean? Like always sending ideas and writing stuff at home, and yeah, sending files back and forth and like check this out, let's use that. Like I like this, I don't like this, and then same thing with our producer when we get to Nashville, we introduce all the songs, what we've been working on and the ideas we have, and then, take some of it, leave some of it, start fresh, it's a process.
Your last single, Radio Silence, you released in September 2020. Now, that song sounds like it was made in the studio with like you you have like real cool guitar parts going on in there, and it was like some you made it in the studio, pieced it together, and it came out awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was the first song that I wrote with the band, that I was involved with the band. That was my first, because like I said, Choose Your Own Adventure was released before me, so that was definitely I definitely was really hoping that the first thing we did together with me would be something awesome. I was pretty proud of it, and that will be on our next record, and the rest of the record I'm super proud of too. Like it's definitely something that I'm pretty excited about and really stoked on, because I definitely feel like you know Radio Silence was the first thing we did. It was the first song we wrote. We basically went in, we wrote that, and then went home, and then came back and finished the record, which is why Radio Silence came out first, because it was the first thing we did, and we completed it, and we were pretty excited about it, so we wanted to get it out there. Yeah, but we have a whole record that I'm pretty excited to drop now, and I feel like it's all really, really good stuff.
When you guys went in there and recorded that one song, Radio Silence, you think that would be kind of like a blueprint for the new album, kind of like the sound you were looking for?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's in that vein. I think that's it's safe to say that if you liked Radio Silence, you'll like the new record. You know what I mean? If you heard Radio Silence and you were like, oh, this isn't for me, then you might not like the direction, where the rest of the album goes, because it's a good representation of not just like the style of music or the songs, but just thematically the themes of the album. It was definitely a good first single to drop from the record for sure.
Another day, another broken plan. Feels like the world is slipping through my hands. I think I'm losing control. Can't seem to find my way home. I sat and watched my only map turn itself into stone. I I'm hoping I can find the silver lining. Transmission, but you're not replying. We're losing signal over the horizon. That's screaming over radio silence. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up. I think you're breaking up.
With the lockdown over the last year, no concerts or anything, what did you do during that year?
Man, tough, 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 tough. I kept myself busy. I mean, I played a lot. I wrote a lot. I played a lot of guitar. I worked. I worked for Billboard. I worked for SoundScan. So I work in the industry as well. So I kept myself busy with a job. Doing that, doing the Billboard charts and whatnot. So, excuse me, it wasn't completely unproductive for me. And like I said, I did a lot of writing. Um, so it was a bummer, man. I mean, we toured so much in 2019. When I joined the band in January of 2019, and we were on the road nonstop for all of 2019. And then we did one tour in 2020. Um, January, February, we went out with Awake at Last. It was a great tour. It was awesome. And immediately came home in February from that tour and everything shut down. So that was the last thing we had done touring wise. And then last month we did like a week run, kind of short East Coast run. And then upcoming next in October, we have a good 2 weeks or so out. And that will be our biggest run that we've done since January.
You do have a tour coming up, the Kinetic Energy Tour. That when does that start? What date?
October 14th in Gainesville. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to that. The band we're going out with too is the Almas, who are buddies of ours. They're super cool, and it should be a really fun tour. Very much looking forward to that. The cool thing about it for me is that we have a Tampa date, like my hometown, so I'm super stoked on that. Like, we haven't done that yet since I've been in the band. We had a tour planned to play Tampa in April, I think, of 2020, but then of course we had to cancel it because of COVID stuff. I'm super excited to finally play my hometown and for my friends and family to come out and see my band, because I still haven't, because we haven't played Florida since I've been in the band. So it'll be nice, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Who would you say your influences are?
That's a really good question. It's a hard question to answer too, because it's really spread out, and I guess it kind of is one of those things where um, my influences for let me answer it this way. Here's a better way to answer it. Some of my all-time favorite bands, like some of the guys that like inspired me and continue to inspire me, that I love. I'm a huge fan of like some classic rock stuff. Like, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. I'm a big Queen fan. Um, some newer stuff like AFI is one of my all-time favorite bands, and I know Jace, my singer, and I completely connect on AFI. We're both huge AFI fans. Mayday Parade's one of my favorite bands. Um, some of the newer, heavier stuff that like really influenced the writing for our new record, and what's influencing me writing for this band currently. I'm really, really into Wage War, Spirit Box, Era, Landmarks. A lot of that stuff is really, I've been jamming that a lot lately. Can't get enough of it.
Do you remember the first song you ever learned how to play?
I'm trying to think. I remember like the first crop of songs. So I'm trying to remember which was the first actual song I learned how to play. But I feel like it was either, again, like I was really into like the Seattle grunge stuff of the early 90s as a kid. So I think it was either like Nirvana, Come As You Are, or Today by the Smashing Pumpkins. It was like one of those two. Um, Not sure which one exactly, but it was definitely like one of those two that I was learning at the same time. And my guitar instructor would kind of like make me learn theory and whatnot, and then every time I learned something that actually mattered, he'd teach me a song that I wanted to learn. You know what I mean? So I'd come in, and as long as I learned how to play, a pentatonic scale, he'd teach me how to do "Come As You Are" by Nirvana. You know what I mean? So that kind of kept me like wanting to learn whatever it was that I wasn't interested in learning with music. You know, I didn't care about the notes. I just wanted to learn how to play Nirvana songs. You know, so that definitely works. It was definitely like it was a Nirvana or Smashing Pumpkins song or something like that at the time.
What are you currently listening to as far as new music? Is there anything out there any of us should know about that we haven't heard before?
Spirit Box just dropped their full length record this weekend, Friday, and it's fantastic. That band is, changing the game. They're great. They are absolutely great. One of my favorite records to drop this year, two of my favorite records to drop this year was Landmarks, Lost in a Wave. They're a band out of France. And they're just fantastic, man. They're like, they jump from like hardcore to post hardcore to, radio commercial rock stuff. I mean, they're just all over the board and great songs, great singer, great players. I'm a huge fan of those guys. And then Era dropped their new album this year too, a couple months back, just self-titled Era, and it's fantastic as well. All three of those bands are three bands that I've just been jamming nonstop. Last weekend, I don't know if you ever heard of The Plot and You. They dropped a record that's really good. Been jamming that a lot lately. Yeah, I think those are the bands that have been like in constant rotation for me as of late. I can't get the Wonder Years too, which they're not like anything. They haven't dropped anything new lately, but that's just one of my favorite bands. So they're always on repeat for me. Like I absolutely love them.
Is your band on a label or are you an independent band?
We are independent. Yeah, we are currently an independent band. Um, we let's see here. Uh, we're with management booking, so we're pretty much. I don't want to say we're completely independent. You know what I mean? But as far as label goes, we're independent from any record label.
Where could we get a hold of you guys at? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
Yeah, we're easy to find. You can find us on Facebook at Alike Divided. I mean, Instagram, Twitter is at Alike Divided. Our email is alikedivided@gmail.com. Like, we're super easy to find, and same with me personally. I mean, my name's Scott Vallina, and you can find me fairly easy on Facebook or Instagram is my Instagram, and Twitter handle is Vallina Ice, which gets a lot of people confused and thinks I'm Vanilla Ice for some reason, but it's Vallina Ice, like Vallina, which I have a funny story about that. I don't check my Twitter a ton, but like one day I like logged onto my Twitter and had all this like hate tweets at me, and I was like, what the hell is happening? But all these people were like, you should be ashamed of yourself at Vallina Ice, and like, I used to be a fan and now I hate you at Vallina Ice. I was like, what is happening? Like I panicked. I was like, what did I do? What did I say? Like I finally pissed everyone off, I guess. And then like I look it up and like I guess Vanilla Ice had like done a Trump rally. So like everyone was like like sending me tweets like so mad at me, and I'm just like, I didn't do anything. I'm not Vanilla Ice. So yeah, that's Valina Ice, not to be confused with Vanilla Ice. Maybe I'll change my handle to like Valina Latte or something, and just everyone will get pissed at Starbucks or something. I don't know.
So what's next for you guys? An album after the tour, or are you going to release the album after the tour, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, it'll come after the tour. We don't have a release date on the record yet, but it is done. All the behind the scenes stuff is happening to determine a release date and whatnot. So it'll happen after the tour. I think early 2022 is most likely when we're looking at trying to drop the record. But yeah, we have this October tour that's next on the books for us. And then I think we'll have a tour in early 2022 as well, is what we're looking at. We're looking at planning that now, but definitely next big thing for us is this October run that we're, like I said, we're super looking forward to it, all of us, just because we haven't been on tour and since the pandemic. It's going to be our first one back, and like I said, it's a big one for me just because we're playing some Florida dates, and that's my hometown, so it's going to be pretty sweet.
That's all the questions I got. Do you have anything else to add?
No. Sorry that Jace couldn't join us. She's in Nashville on Central Time and totally confused the time zone situations on what 6 o'clock meant. Not that I mean, I can relate. I was literally like, wait, 6 Eastern, right? Because that happens to me so much, with like interview requests and stuff. And like, I've gotten better in the habit of being like, okay, Eastern Pacific, you know what I mean? Especially because there's a lot of people that are like out on the West Coast. So like a lot of times they'll say 6, and then I'm like, oh, I missed that by like 3 hours. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's always fun.